Hey, welcome back to Duckman Cycles of VW Garage. I am your host, the Duckman. We're back today with another exciting edition of my midday Q&A. That's right, middle of the day, I try to have a little bit of a discussion. Well, at least I'm the one that's talking. You guys can post in the comments what you feel or what you would like to ask. But this is the video middle of the day where I do my talkie-talkie instead of my techie-techie, which some of you didn't want to see quite so much of, so I decided to put it into its own video because I do have a lot to say, and I do have to answer to the things that people are always asking me. And, you know, if I don't do that in my other videos, then where am I going to do it? And the answer is, well, give it its own place. So that's what I'm doing right now, my midday Q&A video, and I'm supposed to be wearing a seatbelt. Boy, I am such a lawbreaker over here, my word. What am I going to do with myself? And we're back, just like that. One seatbelt, and now I can't get it in first gear. There it is. Well, if you haven't noticed by the sound and the way it looks, I'm actually sitting inside of my 1968 Volkswagen Fastback. About to go have a trip to the tool shop because I ended up getting sold some Chinese crap. It didn't get the job done and broke within the first few minutes of using it. So, you know, big surprise, right? Yeah, okay. So that's what you get when you buy on a budget. But I noticed the name brand sometimes is exactly the same. Exactly the same in appearance and exactly the same in results. Yeah, if you haven't noticed already, I'm actually wearing a new hat. That's right, I got a new hat. And it's really a damn shame that I had to replace the old one because the old one is has a bit of sentimental value to me because it was the hat that I started to wear when I got my first Volkswagen when I was 19 years old. So the hat's been with me now for over 20 years. And it just finally started falling apart when I threw it in the laundry. Previous to that, it was actually in pretty decent shape. 20 years. Still can't believe it myself. But we're going to get back to that in a few. But like I said, this is my midday Q&A video, so if there's something you'd like to ask about my projects, whether it be my 1956 Beetle or the Doodle Lasser, the Poop Moped, the Ninja 250, you know, whatever it is that I've got or whatever else it is that I may be working on, feel free to ask a question. Post it down below, and I'll try to answer them in the very next day that I post a midday Q&A video. So thanks very much for watching, you guys. We'll be back in a few. Hey, thanks for sticking with me. Got a couple of boxes in the last Q&A video, and I figured now would be as good a time as any to open them up. What's inside of them all has something to do with what goes on my channel, so you guys are probably going to want to be interested. So let's go ahead and pop them open and see what we got. Alright, let us see what's in these boxes right here. Big one, I've already cheated and I opened it up. But what's inside of here is new hats. And they're khaki colored like the old one that I had. You can tell this thing is much browner than the other one because it had seen many, many years of just being beaten up. But it had fallen apart, and it had some sentimental value. I've actually had this thing over 20 years. When I was about 19 years old, I started working on my first Volkswagen with this hat. So it's going to stick around. It'll be around for a while. But yeah, we got some new hats. So got to put that Duckman touch on it and give the brim one of these. That's it. It's also going to need to be opened up almost as wide as it goes. And you notice I got a fabric strap this time instead of the plastic ones that always bust. It's amazing that that thing made it 20 years. Really, it did. And there we go. That should do it. What you think? A little better than before? Alright, should be some more stuff in that box. And guess what? Another hat. And another hat. And seeing as how each of these hats usually lasts me about 20 years, it should give me 60 years of hats. And since I'm already 40 years old, that means I'll make it to over 100 using these hats. So that should make it the rest of my life. Here's a new lens cap, my wide-angle lens. That was kind of important, something I needed. That's it for that box. Let's let's go ahead and have a look inside of this one here, see what we got. And I think I know what this one is. This is actually something that's on back order for a little while. And this is something that A-Bomb79, you can see on my shirt. There he is. He's been getting on me about for a while, and this is exactly what it is. Right here. You may have noticed that my videos always look like my camera lens is dirty, but it's not dirty. It's actually been pulverized, and there's a whole bunch of ding marks in the glass. This is a new lens for it. Let's see, it should be clean. It is. Take this one right off of here. Put this one right back on. You notice this increases my wide angle. And that was the goal of it, so that way I could be standing close to a car and filming without having to take, several steps back. Here it is, crystal clear. No more dirt on that lens. And then I ordered this here, which is a cap that's going to help to stop it from getting pulverized when I put it away. Perfect. That works nicely. Now I'm going to hang this from a string or something and put it close to the camera, because these things I have a tendency to losing. But this is a nice snapping one, so it'll snap into the lens. Not like trying to bear with this stupid thing, which always slides off and just falls off. This one's going to be much less likely to get lost. So anyway, I'll probably be using the old lens when I do welding and stuff, because I think a lot of the welding slag bounced off the lens, and that's actually what damaged it. But looking at it closely, and I don't know if it'll focus on it, but yeah, it's pretty dinged up, and it's dinged in the glass. It's not dirt. It's actually the glass is damaged. Alright. Now, while I was ordering stuff, something popped up as recommended for me, and this is what it is here. And this made me laugh, and I don't know if I'm ever going to see another one again. So I went ahead and ordered it, because it's stupid. But it's a cigarette lighter, and it says fire missiles on it. I just think that would look really neat sticking out of Eleanor's dashboard. And no, I don't smoke, but there's extreme convenience of having something that gets hot like that. If you do need to start a fire or something, you do have the ability to do that. And it has other purposes too. Sometimes you can burn a tag off of, your new pair of sunglasses, for example, and that's something I wear a lot of. And I'm always buying new. You probably noticed I've always got some kind of different sunglasses, but yep, this is just extremely convenient to have. And I just thought the fact that it said fire missiles was weird and unusual and kind of kitschy, so it would probably look good inside Eleanor. Well, that should square that away. Now I've got some stuff that works. So let's go ahead and have a discussion and try to answer some questions. Right now I am about 4 feet away from the fastback here, and I'm just going to show you what kind of a difference that this wide-angle lens makes on it. Being 4 feet away from the car and being able to get the whole car in the frame. Take the lens right off of here. Watch what happens. Yeah, so that lens made quite a tremendous difference for me when I start filming, doing my projects, or even if I'm just at a car show. I can actually get a really, really good quality recording without having to step so far away. And it doesn't fisheye anything too badly. I mean, if I had a perfectly vertical something very close to the edge, right now my finger's perfectly straight, but you see it's a little bit bowed, ever so slightly. So yeah, there's very little fisheyeing that this lens does, and I forget what it is, magnification of 0.045, I think it is. So in other words, it's a negative number, and it pushes you out a little bit further. So I really, really like the wide-angle lens that I got for this, and I replaced it with the same model that I had before. This Sony camcorder that I'm using has a 37mm flange for screwing into, and I had to put it on an adapter to adapt it to a 52. And why did I use a 52mm lens on a 37mm camera with an adapter? The reason why is because it's less likely to fisheye and less likely to have that drumming effect where you lose the corners of the screen like this with black. And this doesn't do that. Even when I shake the camera side to side, you're not seeing any of that black come in from the sides without having to zoom into it. I mean, it works really, really well. So adapting it up was definitely the right thing to do. But the reason why we're showing the fastback is I actually need to do something with speedometer. The speedometer crapped out on me. And I talked about that a few videos back. Actually, I think it was several videos back at a tech session video over on my other channel. But the speedometer just quit. So I'm going to need to pull the front wheel off and look down inside of there. See if the speedometer cable's still attached. Maybe it came detached and it pulled into the spindle and disappeared from the wheel. At that point, it's not turning. or perhaps the end of it broke off, and that's a very common thing. The end breaks off, or the threaded assembly that goes into the back of the speedometer, maybe that came undone. If not, speedometer cable is likely broken, and they're pretty commonplace and easy to replace. There are a few different models for a few different years of air-cooled Volkswagens, but the process is all the same. So I'm probably going to cover that in an upcoming video. It may even be the next video. I don't know yet. Well, one of the things I'm very commonly asked is, why do you speak so fast? And, well, I'm cultured differently than most people are. I move rapidly, I think rapidly, and sometimes my mouth really struggles to keep up with how fast I'm thinking, so I have to convey my thought before I lose the next one. And that's one of the reasons why I do that. But also, I take pride in the speed of my work. And in my industry, working on computers and technology, I can fix a lot of things in seconds. And I'll often run circles around people that have been trained or have degrees or multiple certifications in doing the same type of repair because, well, I go where the textbook doesn't. I guess you can call me a meddler. You know, I dig around in the system. I play with things. I touch things I'm not supposed to. Sometimes I completely strip things, hack them, reprogram them. I mean, hex edit them. I will get deeply into to things where, you know, places I'm not supposed to be and make things work. So, as a result, I have learned how things operate, and often I can problem solve and push my way through things a lot faster than a lot of other people can. And there's people out there that are probably watching this video that have seen, you know, 6 or 7 people work on their Volkswagen, and not one of them can find the problem. And I go up and I go, bloop, bloop, okay, try it now, and it's fine. And some of that's in my videos. You can actually see it. But yeah, I generally do move a little faster than most people, and it's just the way I am. I like to save my time for when I want to, you know, dick around, when I want to get lazy, and I like to get all my work done as fast as possible, and sometimes that includes working on my own vehicles or even recording a video. And sometimes when I'm working in a video, I might accelerate a portion of it by 200%, 300%, 400%. You know, I will push the video a little faster because the action of welding, you know, it takes forever. It just runs a long time. And you don't need to see 20 minutes of me going, you know, it doesn't make sense to demonstrate that. So I'll speed it up so that way it's only a couple minutes long, or maybe less than a minute long. And maybe I'll even cut some of it out. But, you know, if you think the video is going too fast, there is a little option that's down in the lower right-hand corner of your screen where you can go ahead and click it and adjust the speed of the video all the way down to 25%. So you can run my 400% video at normal speed. Or if you think that I do talk really fast and you want me to go faster, you can even go faster than that. There's an option for that too. So yeah, YouTube does go faster or slower, and it's up to you to control that. So if you don't like the speed of my videos, play with the adjuster. You know, I mean, learn how to use the computer. I mean, that'll teach you more than anything. I don't want to be a dick on that one, but I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You got to learn how to use your computer, and that's not what I'm here to teach you to do. So anyways, next question. You know, why do you make everything look so easy? Everything that you do on your YouTube, it always looks really simple when you do it, but when I get into it, it's so hard. Well, I've done a lot of these things before, you know, so this stuff isn't new to me. I mean, I've been doing it over 20 years, and I've been working on, not specifically Volkswagens, but motorcycles and such since I was in my young teens. And I didn't have any money, so I did the best that I could with my dad's wide tool assortment. I mean, he had a ton of tools, and he had a lot of old motorcycle parts and things left over from the 70s, and a lot of that stuff wouldn't fit on my Pook moped, which unfortunately is buried. Not a good thing for this video to be showing it, but if something broke, you know, I didn't have the money to go buy the parts, but I had plenty of tools and a lot of things that didn't fit. So it was my job to make something fit so I could ride that thing to work or school the next day. You know, that was kind of a big deal. You know, it's a necessity thing. And when you need, and this is what you've got, you learn how to MacGyver things. And I gotta say, some of the MacGyver repairs that I've done to that bike are still solid today, and the thing is still running. And, well, I don't know if it's still running. I haven't actually started it in a long time. And, you know, that's gonna be a video coming up soon. We're going to start up that Pook moped and just see exactly what comes out of it. But that's one of the reasons why I make some things look easy. And the second reason is because, you know, there's 2 sides to each car. So let's say I'm changing the wheel bearings. I might do it on one side first, so that way it's fresh in my mind, then go around to the other side. Damn cola. No rum this time, but damn cola. But I'll rehearse on one side and get it done, so that way it's fresh in my mind. Then I'll go to the other side of the car, and I'll breeze through it with a video. I mean, I'll breeze right through it and have that thing done in a quarter of the time that it took me to do the other side because it's fresh in my mind and I know exactly how to do it, so you make a whole lot less mistakes. But that's one of the other reasons why I do move very quickly through some of my projects, and why some things just do look easy on screen when they may not be for you because you may not have done it before. A question I very commonly get asked, and I get asked it in just about every single video that I upload, what kind of welder do I have? And the answer is, it's a Lincoln. Now, you know I don't like showing brand names, but I'm doing this just for this midday Q&A video. But it's a Lincoln WEBPAGE 140 HD. It's something I picked up off of Craigslist. I got it really cheap. The reason why is because one of the knobs was busted off, and the guy just didn't want to deal with replacing it. In order to replace it, you actually have to take the board apart and replace the pot that's inside of there. But the knob, I don't have it. I thought it was just going to slide right off, but it's probably a D-shaped shaft, and it popped off, but I can still turn it just by pushing my finger into it and adjusting it like so. But typically the weld settings that I use is usually on A or B. B for most standard sheet metal, A on anything that's really thin or been compromised, perhaps by a little bit of rust. Anything that's really close to an edge of a sheet metal panel that you're going to burn through pretty easy, I might knock it down to A. And the wire feed, typically I have it between 3 and 5, somewhere close to the middle, right about 4, and it depends. If you find yourself burning through a little too easy on metal that's not compromised with B, up the weld speed a little. It'll throw more material onto it and it'll stop you from burning through. And that seemed to work pretty good for me. As far as what kind of wire do I use, there's actually flux core wire inside of here, and it's 30 thousandths, 0.030 for those of you that don't know what that means. But it's the lightest gauge flux core that I could find, and it seemed to work pretty good for me. I will add gas eventually. As you see, this is a bottle cart, and I don't have a bottle for this now. But I will be getting one soon. As soon as that wire is used up, I'll be replacing it with standard solid core. And I'll be welding with that instead. But since Eleanor is almost finished, I probably won't even make it through that roll. There's not a whole lot of welding that needs to be done on this anymore. I mean, a little bit around the windows and maybe a little bit of custom this and that I'm going to add to it. But not a whole lot of welding is left. So I'm probably not going to deal with that for now, but I hope that answers that question as far as what my weld settings are and what kind of welding wire that I use. Oh, and by the way, I don't use any of that cheap Harbor Freight weld wire, which makes better 4th of July sparklers than it does for welding. It just sparks and throws that shit everywhere. When I noticed that I switched over to a name brand, the weld sticks instead of popping and blowing up all over the place. And A-Bomb actually welded on a frame that I had done with the Chinese welder wire previously. And when he hit it with his heat, whatever was left on there, the little bit of slag that was there, would also sparkle and throw shit everywhere. And he claimed it was an incompatibility, but I said it's shit weld wire. It's not really an incompatibility, it's garbage. It makes a better sparkler than a weld wire, as I said. So, anyways, stay away from that Chinese branded stuff. It might be different now since they changed over to the Vulcan branded stuff. I have not tried it. Maybe I should try another roll of it the next time and just see. But since I'm switching from flux to solid core anyway, I think that'd be a waste of money. So I hope that answers those questions. You really shouldn't breathe in that weld smoke. It's really bad for you. I've mentioned it more than once in my videos that I can't do smoke at all. Any kind of smoke. If something starts smoking, I gotta get away from it. I don't smoke pot. I can't stand cigarettes. I can't even do campfires. I gotta get as far away from it as possible or try to get upwind. So the same relates to welding. I know you're not supposed to breathe it in. I'm not a damn idiot. Really, I'm not. And I'm so allergic to it that once I get it in my face anyway, I gotta stop. I gotta get away from it. And even the slightest little bit, I gotta get away from. If somebody smoked in a room, cigarettes, I'm just using cigarette as an example, but somebody smoked in a room 2 days before, and they opened the windows and everything, if I walk into that room even 2 days later, that will just choke me right up. I know it's there, it makes me sick, and I can't do with smoke. But whenever I'm welding, there's always a shop fan nearby. It's just a regular box fan. I keep it about 6 to 8 feet away from me, so that way when I'm shooting videos, you really don't hear it. Sometimes you can still hear a little bit of a rumble from it, but not too much. It's not too bad. But typically I put it upwind, so that way it assists the wind rather than fighting against it. Otherwise it's, worthless. You just ended up making this wind blows around in a circle and you recycle the smoke on you. So I try to put it upwind, whichever direction that might be, and blow away from me. Some people say, well, why don't you get a respirator? Well, I have one. But why do I need to put extra shit on my face and load myself up and bulk myself up and make it harder to work when a fan sitting upwind pushing the smoke away from me is more than enough to do it. Plus, it keeps me comfortable. In the dead of summer when I was doing the gas tank welding, that fan was no more than a few feet away from me. And like I said, you may have heard it in some of the videos, but a respirator is not necessary unless perhaps I'm inside of Eleanor. When I was working inside of Eleanor doing that welding, yes, I had a respirator on because you can't get away from that smoke. You just can't get away from it. And of course, I had the fan on me too, trying to keep me cool, but yeah, unless I'm inside of something or I'm in a trapped environment where I can't get away from the smoke, I typically don't wear a respirator. And like I said, if I get hit by any of that smoke at all, I stop working. I stop. I can't handle it, just stop. And that's what happened in that last video where I was welding. In the wind, you could actually see it change direction, and it went right up in my face. And it was not a good reaction that I had, so I had to shut down, walk away, grab the fan, and thankfully I didn't have to just shut the video down and get away from it. I only caught it for a moment. But yeah, it was still bad enough. So yeah, I know better. You're not supposed to breathe smoke. You're not supposed to breathe any smoke. None. You know, even cigarette or pot smoking, bad idea. Now, brownies are a good idea. You know, I'll eat that stuff all day long. But no, yeah, I'm not going to be smoking it. So thanks so much for your concern. I'm not a dummy. And I can't think of any other way to answer that, you know, without sounding like a dick. But yeah, I know. Don't breathe smoke. I've also got a little problem under here where it smells like the engine's running hot after I run it for a little while. It doesn't seem like it's excessively hot, but it's starting to get that little bit of a smell on it. And I'm looking down at the bellows, and the bellows appear to be in good shape. There's no holes or tears in it. I did replace that a couple years ago, and I think I replaced it more than once because my replacement needed to be replaced because it developed a tear. But this one looks fine, and it doesn't appear to be sucking itself down. And that was the other problem I had with the first one, is that when I revved it up, it would actually collapse on itself. The vacuum would cause it to just suck closed, and the engine would overheat. But only when you would rev it up. You know, if you're running at really low speeds, barely above idle, just kind of cruising through town, it wouldn't have a problem with heating until you tried to accelerate, and then it would suck itself down. Well, this one doesn't appear to have that problem, but I'm going to go ahead and rev it up anyway and have a look down in there and just see if it's sucking itself closed again. Maybe I need to replace it again. I also need to check the timing. If the timing for some reason got a little advanced or a little bit retarded, it can cause the engine to overheat or start to get hot or act like it's hot, starting to smell hot. I believe all my tins are on here. You can see down on that end I had to put a soda can on that because the little tube that I had on there for the heater actually busted. Yeah, I actually had to replace it. It busted. And, when I wanted to go for a ride, I didn't have another tube, so I just took a soda can, put it over the end, and put a hose clamp on it just to close it off. Because you have to keep that air inside the closed system. If you let that air out, it's not going to flow over the number 1 and number 2 cylinders, and they're going to run hot. But, like I said, I'm not sure why this thing's running hot. I'm going to have to dig into it and figure out what's going on there. It runs fine otherwise, though. I mean, it doesn't seem like anything is wrong, except there's a bit of a smell. So, yeah, it's something I'm going to need to dig into. Starting with timing, and then going around and just making sure all the tins are on properly and nothing is missing. That's kind of critical. So anyways, that's it for there. A lot of people have accused me of stealing this table tent from Whataburger restaurants, but no, I actually did not steal that one. There was a local restaurant that was being remodeled. I was doing some work over there in the area, and I saw something orange sticking out of the little hedges that were close to the ground, and I went and picked it up, expecting it to be like a piece of garbage, and it turned out to be one of these. And when I saw the 56 on it, I said, oh yeah, that's going to come home with me. But I mean, the restaurant had no walls to it, there was nobody working there. There was nothing left of the restaurant except for a roof being held up by a bunch of poles, and nobody was around in the area. So yeah, it went home with me. I wouldn't really call that theft. I think that probably would have been just thrown away. And seeing as how it looks like it's damaged, it looks like it's kind of crushed. It's probably been run over a couple times. It's just it hasn't been treated right. And based on where I found it, I would say it's probably not right. It even looks a little sun faded. But anyway, she made a good compliment to Eleanor, and that's probably where she's going to stay, at least for a little while anyway. As always, I thank you very much for watching my videos. Please like, comment, subscribe. Pluck that little dingle belly down there next to the subscribe button. That way you get updates every time I upload a new video. Don't forget to check out Duckman Cycles of VW Garage up on the Facebook group page. There'll be discussion on maybe the fastback, maybe Eleanor, maybe something else somebody else has uploaded or shared pictures of. Maybe somebody else has a question. That's the place you're going to want to ask. If I can't answer it, one of my other 500 friends can. And yeah, we're almost at 500 members on there now. It keeps growing. And I forget what the last number is that I looked at, but every time I go there, I have to prove a few more members to join the group. And it's growing quite rapidly, and I thank all of you for your contributions. I mean, it's really been a cool thing to have a network of friends that are involved in Volkswagens, specifically Volkswagens. I mean, there's some motorbike guys in there too, mini bike guys, but primarily it's been a lot of Volkswagen things, and I've got quite a Volkswagen following, you know, and I never would have expected that these little cars would have been such a way for me to make so many new friends, but I'm going to continue to work on these. I mean, I have just a passion for these things, and they really mean a lot to me. They really do, and I think I'll just stick with what I'm doing. It seems to be the right thing, and my YouTube is growing, and that's also a good thing, and I really do enjoy it. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And don't forget, we're going to have the Midnight Tech video coming up after this one. And if you have any questions that you'd like for me to talk about on any one of my projects, anything at all, or maybe just a personal question, maybe you want to know more about my hat even, feel free to ask, and I'll try to answer it in the next midday Q&A. So thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. See you next time.